was pregnant, I had the AFP blood test that showed a risk for Downs, and so we decided to do an amnio. The doctor called. He said, your daughter has Turner syndrome. She's missing a sex chromosome. And I'm like, I had no idea what was going on.
The doctor came in with the nurse and just started saying, well, it could be this, and it could be this, and it could be this, and it could be this. But we won't know for about 30 days, and then we'll let you know at some point in time. And so that's how you leave.
I was 26 weeks pregnant whenever we had an amniocentesis done. We got the phone call from a nurse of the doctor that gave us the diagnosis for Turner syndrome.
They hand me this paper that explains, basically meant, it's Greek to me, was then. Now it's not, because it says 45X, and now I know what that is. Hands me this paper from the internet.
He told us that she had a very, very rare case of it. Could only find one other child over in China, I believe.
The doctor came down and basically gave me a copy he'd made out of his medical textbook about Turner syndrome and said, go home and look it up online. That's not what you need to do. There's a lot of scary pictures online.
I would have preferred, since the doctor didn't know, and I understand that doctors are not going to know everything, but I would have preferred they would have gathered a little bit more information and try to research things out.
I would have definitely preferred to have the ability to ask anything at that point.
That experience was a kick in the pants.
I was first diagnosed when I was 8.5. All I knew was that I was short and I had to take a shot every day.
It was a little weird at first because I was like, oh, that's why I'm different than everybody at first.
When I was 17, I had problems starting puberty. So I was like, Mom, I'm 17, something's not right here.
I didn't really understand it, so I don't really remember.
I was definitely disappointed. Whenever my mom told me that I was born with it, I was kind of shocked and I was scared at the same time because I didn't know what was going to happen.
The doctor came in and sat down, grabbed my hand and my mother's hand and asked me how I was feeling and what I already knew. She then said, you have something called Turner syndrome and I've had it since I was born.
I asked questions to my mom, what was going to happen. She said it'll be all right and it would be okay. I say it's nothing bad, it's just that I have a hard time growing more than you guys. So I'm a little bit different, but not all the way different.
Right now, the social aspect is the most challenging. She's in 4th grade. Now anxiety plays a big role in her life, which in turn kind of affects the whole family.
School, her being able to function, out of her safe environment, people that she's went to school with, for a long time, going off to college, that sense of being on her own.
Friendships are a struggle, just trying to navigate that, and a lot of social cues she doesn't pick up on, and so she thinks there's something wrong with her.
Even though she's 21, she's still kind of going through all the puberty and the hormones, and that's the hardest thing that we have come across was the school districts just trying to, her learning difficulties and stuff like that.
Early adolescence, a lot of it was probably the social aspect of it. I had a much harder time making friends than I would say some of my peers. I always had a few close friends, but just being put into new situations was harder, like transitioning to middle school and then high school. I've also had some academic troubles, like some learning difficulties. Since then, I've learned how to cope with it again and learn ways around it and have accommodations with my teachers because it takes me a little bit longer than an average person usually.
As a mom, you know how great it is to have kids. And so you want your kids to be able to have that same opportunity. Whether they choose to or not, that's theirs. But as a parent, you don't ever want your children's opportunities to be limited in life.
As she was reading all the other symptoms that I could have, all those I was kind of not on, I can deal with that, until she said ovarian failure.
It's still there that I can't have my own kids, I can't carry them, can't get the same DNA.
I immediately linked 2 and 2 together, that meant I probably could not ever have my own biological kids, and that crushed me.
We were just at a baby shower on Saturday. And at one point, just seeing the word baby across the table was just like, oop, she might not be able to give birth herself. I might not ever have that. Grandma in the hospital holding her first baby.
I don't think it's so much of a fear, but just fertility and how she's gonna, be able to take that, one way or the other if it's a worst case scenario and she can't have her own children.
I know that's a long way down the road, 10 plus years, but that's always been on my mind too, just with the egg harvesting and all the things that we've been going through to try to preserve my chance of having a family. But I've always wanted to be a mother. I've always wanted to have the experience of being pregnant and carrying a baby.
This doesn't only mean I can't have kids, this means that my future husband, whoever that is, they're gonna have to deal with the emotions of that as well. And it's gonna devastate them, I'm sure, too. And knowing when it's too soon to bring something like that up is interesting. Something that I never thought I'd have to think about.
I think when you look at the model that was created with our team in the Great Heights Clinic, from a parent perspective of just having the coordinated care and knowing that all of your providers and all of the specialists that now join that clinic, every one of those providers are dedicated to Turner syndrome.
It's a team of doctors working for the same goal to get these girls the help they need.
Before, I had 10 specialists that we were going to see. I was trying to work a full-time job, and it was just impossible.
The doctor visits are great, having them all in one day, but it's the getting everybody together, because I talk to so many other friends who have kids with other disabilities, and they're so jealous of this that we get to come to.
The information is great information, but being able to talk to somebody else that is completely in your shoes or has been there, done that, made the mistakes, cried the same tears, you can't replace that.
All of us, we're like a family, and we don't even know each other.
I say try to connect with someone as quickly as you can. I guess the importance of you're not alone.
Be an advocate for your child. Ask the hard questions. Connect with, if you don't have the providers, then connect with other resources and families and advocacy organizations.
Don't let it define you. You are not Turner syndrome. It's a part of you, but it's not who you are.
It's really interesting though, because you can grow up and be unique and be yourself.
Tell the parents that their daughters can still lead a normal life. They can still be in relationships, they can still have families, they can still be successful in their careers, they can still go to school and be successful there. They may have to go a little different way than most other people, and they may have to take a little bit longer for some things, but they can always be successful and they can always get to the place that they want to be. It's not an impairment. TS is not an impairment.